Hey, this is Matt once again. What about the other videos? Another paid request, this time for Sean. Thank you so much for that. For those interested in requesting pretty much any type of videos, topics, reactions, commentaries, reviews, re-reviews, what have you, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. Now, we get to Friday the 13th Part 3 he wanted me to do a commentary on. Now this is the Stream Factory release, which has the theatrical poster, which you see a bit in there. But I actually like this poster a bit more. So let's get right into it. I'm paused at the beginning. If I remember, if I was able to tune it right, I would have had this out for Friday the 13th this month, but I didn't. But here you go, Shawn. Thank you so much. Again, for anyone who wants to request pretty much anything, the PayPal and such links are down below in the info box under pretty much any of these videos. 3, 2, 1, pressing play. I have to turn this down a bit so YouTube don't get mad at me. As the Paramount logo is being showcased. Gulf Western Company, Paramount, usually call them pair of pricks. Because a lot of times they are a pair of pricks. Now, obviously this film got made because of the huge success of the previous films. Now, the second film did not make as much as the first film, but it still, for its low budget, was fairly successful. And it showcases the finale of Part 2 to set it up. Because, I mean, this is back to the day where you couldn't just go online and find these movies to watch in 5 seconds and watch the trailers, or video wasn't as highly a mainstream thing. Video stores everywhere, you just rent the video, be fine with it, let alone DVD, let alone Blu-ray, let alone 4K, all that stuff. A lot of times if you saw a film again, it'd be doing something like this, seeing it in the theater again, to remind people. Or hopefully a film gets re-released, or maybe you see it on cable. Which cable, even then wasn't as prominent as compared to many years later. You have Amy Steele here, Ginny from Friday the 13th Part 2. And you have the villain Steve Dash, may he rest in peace, as Jason. It was not Warrington Gillette. He only did it in the one scene where he went through the window and you see his face. But the rest of this was Steve Dash. Ginny getting the idea to put on the mom sweater, which I remember is one of the things you could get in the Friday the 13th Nintendo game, was you could find this area, maybe Jason's mom's head attacking you, and if you defeat her once, you get one weapon. If you defeat her again, you get the sweater. Also in the newer Friday the 13th game, you can find the sweater to confuse Jason, and it'd be like this complicated way to kill him. There's Mrs. Voorhees herself coming in for her cameo. Amy Steele would go on to be in films like April Fool's Day, which I'm a big fan of, in 1986. Love that film. There was talks of bringing this character back for the third film. I've heard differing ideas. One idea was Ginny, because of the events of this film, was sent to a psychiatric hospital. And for one reason or another, Jason tries to go after her. So he goes to the hospital and starts killing people one by one. Although, I mean, that would seem very similar to Halloween 2, which took place in a hospital. But also Amy Steele didn't come back. The way she put it was that her agents kind of twisted her arm and saying, you know what, do you really want to do another one of these movies? There's all these other movies we could get you. I think she's mentioned, though, she kind of regrets that decision and wishes she could have done more. It would have been great to see. And I think she's definitely better than Dana Kimmel. There's Paul, and again, we don't know what happened to Paul, because it's still a confusing thing. Because if Paul died here, she imagined herself going with Paul to the cabin. if that was really Jason coming out through the window to grab her, why would Jason let her live? And not kill her, finish her off, take her. And why would he just take Paul's body? I mean, there's a lot of stuff that just doesn't make sense about the ending of part 2. Actually, the way it plays off here is a bit better, where she kills him, they walk out, then Jason's alive, sliding off, and then you go into the third film. I mean, that actually works better as an ending than the actual... But I like part 2 a lot. Amy Steele's a big reason for that. Now, I've mentioned this before. I mean, it's hard for me to rank the movies because I like them all except part 8. Jason Goes to Hell is my personal favorite. I know people get antsy about that, but it is. Jason Goes to Hell, then Friday the 13th Part 7 The New Blood, which someone did a fan cut of that movie to make it uncut. Yeah, it looks like a VHS tape, but it's Friday the 13th. I'm fine with it. Would I like it cleaned up? Sure. But again, if it looks like a VHS tape, it fits with the aesthetic of Friday the 13th. It's not like it's Blade Runner. See, they go out, and I think that's kind of a better ending here. They walk off to the distance. And then Jason's alive, and he runs off. As he's heavily wounded. And I think that actually this makes more sense as an ending in a way than the original part 2, with the whole trying to do a dream scene because part 1 had it. And then they tried to do it at the end of this film. And of course you have the 3D titles and this disco type of theme. I'm not a big fan of disco, but I do like this theme. I think they did a great job. Boom, boom, boom. Ba-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. And now, I'm not seeing it in 3D, of course. Although, I guess technically you could see this in 3D with this. Because I think the set did come with 3D glasses, but... I don't know, 3D at home for me, with my eyes, and then trying to put them over my real glasses, just don't work as well as, a theater. And 3D was becoming a bigger gimmick at this time, where you had quite a few of these type of films. Jaws 3D was coming out. I think it came out a year after this, because I think this is 82, and Jaws 3D was 83. You had Amityville 3, or Amityville 3D. I think there was talks of doing one of the Star Trek films, like Star Trek 3 in 3D, and then Paramount, I guess they kind of realized 3D was kind of a gimmick that would be short-lived, so they went away from that. But I swear I remember reading somewhere that Star Trek, I guess 3 would have been a 3D movie. But there was a Metal Storm, there was Parasite, which had Demi Moore, young Demi Moore in it. That was in 3D. There was a couple of 3D movies, but it didn't last long. Like a year. There's like a 2-3 year span. Until they came back in the 2000s. But even nowadays, you don't really see a lot of people talk about 3D nowadays. Because again, it was a gimmick. It's always been a gimmick. Oh, it's cool, but then either the films themselves were not the greatest for what they were utilized, or when it came back, the 3D was kind of, oh, you see the background a little bit towards you. It wasn't like the cool, fun 3D in your face. Like My Bloody Valentine 3D, Dread 3D, those were good like 3D movies and experiences. Now this guy here you see one of the 3D aspects, like why does he hold the thing like this? Because it's for the 3D. But that's one of the issues with doing a 3D film like this, is when you watch it, where most people nowadays have seen it in 2D, it does look a bit goofy. I mean, there's a charm to it. Like, look at this, let me hold this right here, I'm drinking it, but I'm drinking it. But here we don't get our first two victims. At the wrong place at the wrong time. Living in the wrong place. And they stole footage from Friday the 13th Part 2. I know that footage. You stole it from Part 2. There was no news camera. There's no news crew there at the end of Friday the 13th Part 2. There's no reporter saying, hey, let me... tell us what happened. Now I saw a little bit of Jason bald. Now, when the hell he got bald, I don't know. Because if you watch the ending of Part 2, that Jason had hair. He wasn't, clean, shaved. I guess he's like... But even then, there's a flashback where he's bald as well. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. And if you watch Friday the 13th Part 2, the ending... The design, there's like little straddles of hair and stuff, so what? Not consistent. There's a lot of inconsistencies of Friday the 13th. A lot of them. I mean, why in Friday the 13th Part 8 does Jason as a kid in the flashback look normal when he did not in the first film at the end? Why does Jason look normal with hair? Of course, there's a lot of things in that movie. Why is there toxic waste every night at midnight in New York? I might not live in New York, but I doubt there's toxic waste every night at midnight. Why does a lake, Crystal Lake, somehow merge into the ocean to get to New York? I don't know, man. There's a lot of questions throughout a lot of these movies. Why is he eating fish food? Like, all the food he got in this grocery store, and you want to eat fish food. But, just something for the character to do, and little weird personality trait. Maybe it's like, hey... Yeah, shows why you shouldn't eat that. But I would say this guy tries to make out the most out of this small part. Whether it's whether it's the script or whatever. Yeah, just let him eat everything. Be friendly with his rabbit, all this stuff. Just eat everything in the damn store. I mean, it's his store, I guess. He can do whatever he wants. He owns the place, I would assume. Well, looks like they don't get much business there, though. Imagine that fruit gets rotten quick. Of course, you think this is Jason, but it's not. It's his wife being pissed. Stop eating all the food. That's for me. At least there's a bit of personality. You don't know whether you like it or not. And, it seems like, the way he treats a rabbit is very nice. Very gentle. I think you have a weird shot like a snake that freaks him out. Only, in a weird way, because of the way he handles his rabbit and stuff, and how kind of a little goofy moment with his wife kind of makes me feel a little bit bad for when he dies. Even though, I don't know anything about the character, but yeah, this is where you get that weird snake. There you go. For the 3D. But yeah, there's a lot of 3D stuff around this time, but it didn't last long. I know there's another 3D slasher, Silent Madness, which I do like, that came out in '84. But not too many 3D films throughout the '80s after that. But yeah, the rank to Friday the 13th is like be 9, 7, then 6, Then maybe 4, the reboot, because I like both of them. And then either like 4 a reboot or reboot and 4. And then I actually like Jason X for how silly it is and how different it is compared with the others. Although the effects aren't that great. God, after that, this might be next. No, part 2. I would say I like part 2 a bit more than this. I would say I like part 2. I liked Amy Steele, and this one I do like. I'll probably put this after part 2. So, it's a little bit low on the list, but I still liked the film. It has some good kills. Like this guy was going to get a meat cleaver to the chest. But some of the kills a bit goofy. I mean, it's not probably my favorite kill. The guy walking on his hands and Jason comes down and splits right between his legs. That is, I would say, my favorite kill in the franchise. I love the hockey mask. Richard Brooker does a wonderful job as Jason. May he rest in peace. This is when this guy gets it. Turn, and there you go. Still having some decent gore in it. It wasn't too cut up. What was funny, it seemed like part 2 had a little bit more cut out than part 3. And part 4 is like one of the gorier ones, so it's strange how like they cut bit from part 2, but then 3 and 4 they left a decent amount alone. But yeah, like I said, the only one I really disliked is part 8. And then the second would probably be Freddy vs. Jason, with just hating the human characters in that, and the way they handled Jason I thought was really piss poor. Freddy vs. Jason is a better Freddy movie than a Jason film. Jason has some good kills, to be fair, but I'm not a fan of Jason's portrayal, Jason's look. I think he looks like shit in it. That's a decent kill. That same whiteout effect, like in the previous, another 3D effect. The baseball bat. But what was I trying to say? Oh yeah, Freddy vs. Jason. Like I said, I like the film. I like the fight. I like Robert Englund in it. But I mean, some of the slick direction I don't mind. Some of the deaths I don't mind. Like, there's still stuff I like about it, but like I said, I don't like the way Jason looks, the way he's portrayed, the way they make him afraid of water. I get the idea, but the execution is lacking. This, I mean, like, we know Jason's the killer, so I guess it was for the audience going, what the hell's going on here? But it's to set up this character, set up his death scene later. In retrospect, you would think he would use the hockey mask in this scene instead of the see-through mask. I guess if they knew in retrospect, they would have had him wearing the hockey mask here. Does it would make more sense because he wears the hockey mask. They think he's wearing the hockey mask later, at least. Vera, Catherine Parks, thinks it's Shelley. So if he was wearing the hockey mask here, like I said, I think it would make more sense. Okay, we've seen him wear the mask before, so then they think he's wearing the hockey mask again. Although to be honest, like, again, she's looking at Shelley, but she's seeing the see-through mask. Like, it would make more sense if that was the hockey mask. So, like, she sees him wearing the mask here, the hockey mask. See, he's wearing it again, because I saw him wear it here. So, yeah, I think they didn't know the hockey mask would be as prevalent as it is. Or that it became, I should say. So yeah, I love the hockey mask. I think it's the perfect fit and looked for Jason. Richard Brooker is definitely one of the creepier Jasons, the way he acts in certain scenes. And like the cast, I don't mind Larry Zerner as Shelley. He's the comic relief, but I didn't find him annoying. I didn't find him irritating. Dana Kimmel, I'll take her over the girl in Part 8, Jensen Dad did. I'll take her over the girl in Freddy vs. Jason. Try and do another 3D. Which apparently that was a problem with this film, is to try to do the 3D, you have to get the right... Like, imagine I'm doing a 3D. If I'm over here too far, or if I'm over here too far, it wouldn't work. So you have to get in the right moment. Oh, that's too much. Yeah, do it again. And this repeated movement to get in the right position, as well as the bigger cameras, which 3D needed, apparently made the shoot a bit annoying. Again, it has a bit of a charm, because in the back of your head, this is meant for 3D, but it's still one of those... It's obvious why it's being done, so there's a bit of awkwardness to it. Like I said, the characters, Shelley, I don't mind. Like, Dana Kimmel isn't a favorite of mine. I like Adrian Keene more. I like Amy Steele more. I like the people in Friday 4 more. Those characters more. 6, I like Tom Matthews. 7, I like Laura Partington. Jason Goes to Hell, I love John D. LeMay. I can relate to that guy. Just nice to see a lead guy, just like Tom Matthews in Part 6. Change of pace. Dana Kimmel's not the most awful. She's not, if I'm watching it, she's not terrible. She's a nice looking lady. And I've seen much worse. It's just, I've seen better as well. So Dana Kimmel is fine. Like, as I'm watching it again, especially compared to a lot of actresses today, she's fine. It's just not great. It would have been great to see Amy Steele again. But it definitely would have been a different plot. So this is pretty much, hey, we killed Crazy Ralph, so we need another Crazy Ralph. Or some ode to Crazy Ralph. I remember for a while I thought it was David Ogden Stiers, the guy from MASH, and he would be in the Dead Zone TV show, but it's not him. He has his eyeball. Look what he gave to me. Yeah, the wannabe, Tommy Chon there, and the other people. They're there, but it's... Like I said, they do have that 80s charm, so they're not as boring as a lot of characters today. Like Terrifier, as much as people love that, I think the characters in that I would put way below, this film. It is a short film, and Steve Miner doesn't do that bad of a job. He comes back, he did the second film, he does this film. Steve Miner would go on to do Lake Placid, Halloween H2O, House from 1985, which is a fun one. Soul Man, we see Thomas Howell in blackface. That movie. Day of the Dead remake with vegetarian zombies. It's just that you could tell when you get to this film, it is becoming a very formula where this doesn't, other than Jason, other than the hockey mask and the 3D, there's really no difference between this and the second film. Like, think about it. If you take away the 3D, if Jason was in his bad face again, the sack Jason, Tater Sack, it'd be like the same movie as the second film. And that's what I mean, is that that's why I felt like Jason Goes to Hell was so refreshing. Because there's so, people like, oh, I want to go back to the woods. I want to see Jason do it. I mean, he's already done this so many times. Like, by the time you get to this and the fourth film, it was, they're fun. But it's like, how many more can you repeat that over and over again? There's only so many times until you just, it gets redundant. And like I said, Danny Kimmel's fine, but she's not. I know she was in another film called Sweet 16. I think I remember the most from, I think Lone Wolf McQuade. She played Chuck Norris's daughter in Lone Wolf McQuade. And I liked her in that. Like, she was fine in that. After this stuff, I don't know what she did. And this Paul Kratka as Rick. I don't know what he did after this, maybe soap opera stuff. He's not a great actor. He's not that great. Then you have, like, in Shelley, Larry Zerner plays Shelley, who's the comic relief character. But again, he has a nice soft spot. And he has the hots for Catherine Parks as Vera, where there's no way she was going to like him. Which at least is being honest. I love that shag carpeting of that van. Like, damn. Blue, it's like a Smurf. Shaved all their body hair and plastered on the inside of this van. Now, this other person with the green, that I believe is Tracy Savage as Debbie. And Tracy Savage here, she would later be a reporter. Anchor reporter for NBC4 in Los Angeles. She was even part of the O.J. Simpson trial. Yeah, because she gets killed in this hammock later on. And I think the idea is that she's pregnant as well. So it's one of those things that, oh shit, Jason killed a pregnant lady. But yeah, this girl on the left, Tracy Savage, she'd be on NBC4 in Los Angeles and other pieces of journalism. She was actually part of the O.J. Simpson trial. As it says here, she was called to the witness stand to reveal her confidential sources and was threatened with jail time by Judge Ito, but she invoked her rights as journalist to use the SHIELD law, which is to protect the source of her story. And then she was able to overcome that, so I think she teaches journalism now. It was cool that she did the interviews for the documentaries and stuff, so she's not above it all. She kind of gets what it is. And of course, this film got mauled by the critics as the others, pretty much all the Friday the 13th films has. I don't think there's a single one that the critics really liked. In 1982, I mean, that's a year where you had a ton of movies come out that people remember to this day, from John Carpenter's The Thing, to Poltergeist, to Conan the Barbarian, to First Blood, to Star Trek II, Wrath of Khan, like, tremendous amount of movies, Tron, like, humongous year for a lot of stuff and a lot of movies, especially in the sci-fi era. E.T., of course. And of course, this film would be a part of that group of movies. Now, granted, I'm sure people remember, John Carpenter's The Thing and Poltergeist and stuff more than this, but this film was a hit. I mean, hell, this movie made more money than John Carpenter's The Thing in 82. So we're going to get, once again, Larry Zerner's Shelley being the fake, phony, oh, look, I'm dead, but you're not really dead. the prankster, which a lot of times would get killed. Not in part two, not in the previous film. The prankster did not get killed because he was smart enough to go into town with the other characters and he survived. But not so much the case here. Which is why when his dead body is revealed later, people, don't react to it. I mean, he does the pranking stuff, but he feels instantly bad, and he's not being an ass. And I mean, he's called an asshole there, but he's not. He instantly feels bad, and like I said, there's a little bit of, really enough, a little bit more character work on him than some of these other people. Like this sad sack type of character where, you tell he likes this girl, but he'll never get successful with them. Some of his verbiage when he's talking to the bikers, trying to calm the situation down, and the sense of humor. Like, he's definitely a character that people remember from, I would say, the best character in the movie, to be perfectly honest. And that's what would have been kind of cool, is that if somehow he was the survivor, or if he was the lead, I do find him more interesting than Dana Kimmel's character. Plus, it would have changed things up. The first two had a female lead, have the third one be a male lead. But, as they put it, oh, you can't have a male lead? Well, you don't buy him streaming in Terror Like a Girl. Well, he doesn't have to stream in Terror Like a Girl, but, his life would still be in danger, and he's a nerdy, guy, as he's been labeled throughout the film from these other characters. So he'd still be someone who's vulnerable. I think if it was these two, Larry Zerner and Catherine Barnes, if they were the lead, and it was like they become more friends, doesn't have to be a love story, but I think that'd be more interesting in that direction. And here we got our three bikers here. We got this guy on the left here is Nick Savage's Ali. I think this girl was it Chili? I think it's Rachel Howard as Chili. I think so. I could be wrong. But I know the other guy, when it cuts to where Shelley is, the guy on the left, the black guy, is Nick Savage is Ali. So go back to a shot of them. Well, he's a guy that, punches through. Yeah, he's a guy in the middle there. He's a guy who's going to punch through the windshield. Nick Savage, I remember him from another movie a few years after this called Fright Night. He was one of the bouncers in the original Fright Night. Like, he gets cut up by Chris Sarandon's character, and the other guy, the bigger guy, gets lifted up and thrown. And when Jerry Dandridge trying to get the girl at the club and is seducing her, and the bouncers try to stop him. And this is one of those bouncers. Just killed by Chris Sarandon's character. If he was the lead, it would have been pretty cool to see as well. Like, that would be interesting. Like, a guy who's this biker type of guy, and he has to. You think he's going to fight Jason, but he doesn't. He pops back up just to immediately get killed and get his arm cut off. So we don't even get like a cool fight out of it, which is disappointing. I know it seems like a ragging on the film. I do like the film. Like I said, I like some of the kills. I like Larry Zerner and some of the characters. You know, it's an easy film to watch. But again, I just don't like it as much as the second film. I don't like it as much as the fourth film or the 6, 7, 9, other stuff. So I just see other ways that I would have preferred the story to go down. That's just me, though. There's more of those 3D stuff. And these kind of go on for a bit. The yo-yo stuff is kind of like we get the point of it. And because, we're going to see it in true 3D at home, at least like in the theater, it's kind of like, okay, it's going on for a bit. But I'm sure it works better in the theater. See, this once again showcases this guy's terrible acting. Look at his line reading. That's it. I've had it. I mean, I thought it would be a good idea for us to spend time. This is more than I bargained for. Like, he's not that good of an actor in this movie, this Paul Cracker guy. That's it. Like, this is the way he's like, that's it. I've had it. Like, come on, dude. Like, come on. Like, the guy who played Paul in the second film, he was fine. Kevin Bacon, he was in the first film. I mean, do I put the first film above this or not? That's tough because I think the first film has a better cast, but this one has Jason and the hockey mask, which I really like. Just to be honest, the whole Mrs. Voorhees thing, I don't really care for as much as Jason. I gotta be honest with that. Like I said, I like the first Friday the 13th, but the whole Mrs. Voorhees, I'm like, come on, dude, she's 65 years old, and she's able to do all this stuff here, and no one can tackle this old lady who's able to lift people and put their dead bodies with a bunch of arrows, like Harry Crosby's body, and throwing people through windows like they weigh as much as this remote controller. Like, come on, man. What? So, I don't know, it was a bit hard to swallow. And it was a mystery where there's no way to solve the mystery because the main culprit only pops in the last 10 minutes. I'm like, come on, dude, really? So, I don't know. I'd probably put this above that just because of that stuff. And some people say, well, you're not as big of... I do like the Friday the 13th films because, again, the only one I really disliked is one movie out of, 12? Because there's 10, Freddy vs. Jason 11, Reboot 12. There's only really 1 out of 12 movies I dislike. Now, I would say I'm more of an Elm Street fan because I love the first 4. I have fun with Freddy's Dead. I really like Wes Craven's New Nightmare. So yeah, I would say I'm more of an Elm Street fan. And I go back and forth which franchise I like more. I would say for a while, because I was discovering the Friday the 13th. As a kid, I would say Elm Street. Then when I was discovering these films, I'd be, oh yeah, Friday the 13th. But as today, I would say Elm Street is more the franchise I prefer. Because of the imagination and creativity they're able to incorporate. Because of the whole dreams and stuff. But, this... Usually Friday the 13th films are at least there's some bit of comfort food. Comfort food as in, maybe McDonald's. They might not be good for you, but they're fun. And they're easy to, at least for me, easy to digest. Like this film, I mean, it still has a fun charm quality to it. and it's easy to watch. It's not, oh, this is so painful. Like, we're like 40 minutes in, and this is gone by quick. So, it really hasn't been that much of an issue. And now these folks are going to get killed, at least two of them. Because the third one kind of dies, but not, then comes back for at the very end. Then dies, fully dies. Now, of course, here trying to build up the suspense where you know this person's going to die, but it's when they're going to die or how they're going to die. Doesn't mean there's no reason to care about this character. I mean, we just know this person's going to die and we don't figure out when. Well, that's the weapon she's going to get killed. Kind of a memento of her future murder. In about a minute. This is not yet, because she's going to be swinging and then she disappears and stuff. I mean, on this Blu-ray, it says that there's a new 4K stand. I'm glad they brought back the commentary. There was a old DVD set called From Crystal Lake to Manhattan, where the DVD cases were really super thin. And they had like 2 movies per disc. 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 5 and 6, 7 and 8. And then they had like a bonus disc. And the bonus disc, I mean, there was a little bit of stuff in there, but not a whole lot. Like Friday the 13th Part 2, only like 2 people talked, Amy Steele and maybe Warrington Gillette. Part 5, it was pretty much only Corey Feldman talking for a few minutes and about, oh, he wants to do a Friday 4-0, or Friday 2, I should say. Like Halloween H2O, I want to do a Friday 2-0 with me and Jason. I'm like, that ain't happening, dude, and never going to happen. Wish in one hand, shit in the other, see what fills up first. Mr. Corey Feldman. I honestly, I can't help it. I just have an issue. Like, Corey Feldman, I liked his acting as a kid in Stand By Me, The Goonies, The Lost Boys. Even as a teen, I don't mind The Burbs. I don't mind License to Drive. I love The Burbs. I don't mind his character in it. But just, not just, you know, being the voice of Donatello in the 1990 Ninja Turtles film, which was awful, because it made Donnie sound like a stoner. I'm like, might he sound like that? Like a surfer stoner? Fine. Donnie? No. He was a terrible choice. He wasn't that much of a good adult actor. And all the stuff he's doing, he pretty much just, at times seems like he's just using, I don't know, just, I think he treated Corey Haim a bit poorly. That's just my take on it. But that's a whole other ball game. But here's her death there, a nice reveal. To imagine this some kind of rig. They keep her hoisted. Maybe they put stuff under her armpits to stay there and then have a prosthetic. And here, I can imagine how many times he had to make sure this is in the right spot. So that would stick to the face of the audience. Definitely loves his pitchforks. Just that's 2 people now. Pitchfork to the neck there and pitchfork here to the guy. Yeah, this is the guy who was the bouncer in Fright Night a few years later. One of the bouncers. What the hell are you guys doing up there? And the whole Dane insignia with the spider. Like I say, it would have been nice to see him put up more of a fight. Especially when he comes back later. Like here, he quickly gets taken down. Like, I kind of go, like, what's he doing? Like, why does he think he's there? Like, he goes to that corner. They immediately just taken down. Like, what the fuck? Really, dude? And what is he hitting him with? A wrench, I guess? That's the thing, like, he goes in the corner, like, it's this little corner. I'm like, does he really think this big fucking guy is in this little corner? He just goes to there. He's, like, swinging at the air, too. Like, is he mad at the wall? Is he far side so he can't see right near? Like, I think he got hit in the head 4 times with a wrench. You get hit 4 times in the head with a wrench, you're dead. Your head's caved in. He like hit the guy like 4 times with this heavy wrench. The guy's dead. His head is a melon that's been split. It's turned to Gallagher trick. Rest in peace, Gallagher. But his head's been turned to a Gallagher trick. Watermelon and all. But I just, hey, have him for the ending. I probably put this like part 5. Would I put above this or not? That's tough. I probably put part 5 below this only because I really do like Richard Brooker's take on Jason. I would say like there's half of these I really, really enjoy. Like Jason Goes to Hell, Part 7, Part 6, Part 4, the reboot. And the other half either, I like, although I do think there are flaws. Or again, Manhattan, they sucks. You just imagine how tough it is to juggle. I wouldn't be able to do that. Of course, Larry Zerner here later will become a lawyer. I don't know how he is as a person. I've heard different things. I've heard some people say he's a dick. Some people say he's cool. I don't know. But he seemed open to doing interviews and talking about the film, and seems proud of the film to be a part of it. And I don't know, seems cool to me. But again, never met the guy. Never really interested in meeting actors and celebrities. Just never had an interest in it. I think this is when he's soon, not too long ago, he's not going to make it. But again, that's why I don't mind films like Jason Goes to Hell and such that try to mix things up. That great, just because you mix things up doesn't mean it's automatically good, of course. Many other films, yeah, I believe me, I get that. But it's like, I get when the formula is going so much where group of kids, they don't know what's going on, they're picked up one by one, no one knows anything's going on until like the last 15 minutes. You find all the dead bodies, and then you gotta get the hell out of Dodge. And then it's like, I get it's a formula. It's a formula that people like, and it is fun. Like even in this, it's fun, but it's just there are times where you get to the 4th or the 5th or something. You do want them to mix it up a little bit, and that's always risky. That's one of the things I like about Part 6, Jason Lives, is that you have a guy that knows from the get-go and tries to warn people. You have some fun lines where the red dot goes, you bang. You have little kids intermixed with there, and some fun sense of humor throughout. Well, where are you going to be when you grow up? So yeah, that lady there would be anchor woman for NBC, one of the affiliates of it. This is where Dana Kimmel tells his story. I always thought it was kind of a weird story, and the fact that we've never seen Jason like this before or since. And then the way he looks is not like how he looked in part two. I mean, it looks like he does in this. And she tells about how this happened a while ago. What, years ago or something? I'm sitting there going, why does Jason look like this? Like, he didn't look like this in part two. Where's the tater sack? All the hair and stuff. Like, he doesn't look like this at all. Like, why does Jason look? I mean, they'll get to it, but it's like he's just bald, and he looks like he has the same clothes as he does in this movie. He looks like he has the same clothes. I mean, we'll get to visualizing it, but actually, I got a picture of him here. Pants, the shirt. Let me see if it is the same. I mean, I like the idea of Jason being this creepy pervert type of guy that made him a bit creepier and scarier. And the way Richard Brooker played it, I thought he did a good job. Rest in peace to him. Trying to see what he looks. Yeah, almost the same clothes he's wearing in this. Almost. Like, he's bald. Yeah, he's bald. He's almost wearing the same clothes he does in this. Maybe his shirt's a bit lighter, to be fair. Maybe. So maybe it's not the exact same. I don't know. But I don't know. It looks similar to this outfit he's wearing in the movie. I don't know. Maybe the shirt's a bit lighter. I don't know. Maybe I'm looking into it too much. But yeah, I don't know why his he doesn't have the tater sack. I guess he was fine with his face out, and then he decided to put it on, and then took it off. I don't know why he didn't take the tater sack with him. I mean, we know why, because put the hockey mask on, but and apparently, like, throughout the production, someone on the set was someone in the crew was a hockey fan and got the hockey mask. I mean, they're the reason that made the franchise change forever, because it became the iconic look for Jason. And that's one of the things about Steve, Sean Cunningham. I think Sean Cunningham doesn't like Jason as much as people think he does. And he likes the money that he got from it. Because as much as the director, Jason Goes to Hell, there's some things I disagree with him on in certain aspects, I do buy his story of what he's told about Sean Cunningham. I really do. It's the way he told, I don't know, just gut feeling. Where he says that Sean Cunningham did not want the mask in there. How he was told by Shawn, take the mask out as soon as possible. And then when he did that, he later got thrown under the bus by Shawn going, well, I never told him to do that. Yeah, because people and fans hated it. I didn't, but fans hated it. And, oh, here's this young guy, throw him under the bus. And the way the director described it, he goes, think about it. Sean Cunningham had nothing to do with this Jason. Meaning, the Jason he did deal with was a little kid who drowned. Sean Cunningham thought the idea of bringing Jason back was stupid. It's one of the main reasons why he did not direct part 2 or the others. He thought having Jason come back was stupid. Same reason why Tom Savini did not come back for 2 and 3, because he thought the idea of having Jason come back as an adult was stupid. Sean Cunningham thought that too. And he didn't come up with the mask in part 3. Steve Miner directed it. Someone in the crew thought of the idea. Sean Cunningham's name. Actually, I don't see his name on here now that I think about it. Music, executive producer Lisa, co-producer Tony Bishop, screenplay based on characters. No, Sean Cunningham's name is not on this at all. So, Tizzy was busy doing A Stranger Is whatever the hell that stupid movie was with was it Rip Torn in it. It was a pretty awful film. This is much better than that. Strangers What? I can't remember the title. I know I reviewed it. It's the one with the lady from Star Trek Voyager, the lead. She starred in it, and her and this little kid were kidnapped by, I think it was Rip Torn, and carried them through this train station and kept them held up. It seemed like a TV movie, honestly. This was much better than that. More fun, less boring. But yeah, like Sean Cunningham had nothing to do with this film, had nothing to do with the writing, nothing to do with Jason as an adult, nothing to do with the hockey mask. So the thing that brought him the most money, selling that hockey mask, that Jason look, the Jason Voorhees is a commodity, he really had nothing to do with it. Nothing. I mean, you say maybe the whole idea of Jason the Kid was probably created by Victor Miller from the first movie. But Sean Cunningham had nothing to do with it. And so now he's getting a chance to be a producer and really get behind this stuff. Take the hockey mask out. Probably drove him nuts. This is a thing. You can't. That's gotta be. You know it gets at someone's ego. When you're linked to a franchise, and really, what did Sean Cunningham really bring to it? This franchise. He brought a successful movie. That was mainly the gore that sold it, not his direction. You can tell by all these other movies that he's not that great of a director. In fact, I always say Steve Miner's a better director when you look at House. You look at, this film. There's the hockey mask. So at least he does steer here with the hockey mask. But I think that could have been something that we see earlier. But at least they put it here. That's what I mean. Like, of the characters, this seems like the one that has the most potential for development, and then doesn't matter because quickly soon after he's just killed off. So, oh well. That's just how it is. And where he got the spear gun from, and where the fuck he put it in that van, I don't know. Like, think about it, he put like this fucking... He has a wetsuit, a hockey mask, a spear gun thing. Where the fuck was any of that when they were in the van earlier in the movie? What, in cabins in the woods? They just wetsuits and spear guns and hockey masks there? And why you would... I mean, whatever. A hockey mask in the water... When it'd be like... If you don't steer that quick, it'd be... a snorkel so you wouldn't drown. How did he just hold his breath underwater? Usually you have like a little bit snorkel or air tank. But he just had a hockey mask. Like, how long did he hold his breath in the water? Long enough to stay there and then grab her leg and then pop out. But whatever. I do like the film, I swear. I just... observations. Just observations. believe me, I mean, I love Jason Goes to Hell, and even I go, the shaving bit is stupid. Why does Jason give a crap about someone's mustache to shave it? As much as I like the film, you could have cut that whole scene out. And I'm sorry, the directors, because people will talk about it. That's a stupid reason. Sorry, man. It's a stupid reason. Adam Marcus, the director of that, come on. I don't know why it had that weird bit of slow-mo. Like when she's turning it around, they put like a little slow-mo in there for some reason. I don't know why. Maybe to let the audience know that is Shelly's wallet. But she literally says, I dropped your wallet, so. But we don't see him kill Shelly. We just see his dead body later. Throat slit. But this is a pretty good death scene. Although, you'd think she would recognize the body type of Larry Zerner. Like, this guy's much bigger and much taller and is dressed completely different. I mean, she does go, who are you? But at first, like, you look at his body build, you would think that's Shelly. And, I mean, when you see a guy with a hockey mask, you just go, who are you? Now, hey, that's not funny. No, ain't funny. That ain't funny either. Good effect, though. I do like that effect. Yeah, don't need this shit anymore. I don't know why. I kind of like this look of him just staring up. Just... And the way the camera goes up to there is like, yep, I know it. I sense the search. I can smell it from here. I can smell it from here. You need to die. It's time to die. You tell Rostov it's time to die. It's time to die. Did you add the search? The dick was in the pussy. It is time to die. I smell it. It's his time of the month. I don't know why I think Jason's German now. I don't know. Oh, whatever the fuck accent I'm doing. Guy's machete. I don't know where the fuck the machete came from, but I mean, they probably established the machete earlier. But this is where we get to my favorite kill in the franchise. The idea of someone walking on their hands. It's that shot of the way he looks up and Jason looks down. Just that shot of him. That's just... When I think of Jason, I think of that shot. That's the shot I think of. Is him hammering the machete downward. And just the idea... of where that's cutting, just the thigh clincher, sort of put it, the nut clincher, just clench your legs. This is why you should not walk on your hands. Never walk on your hands, otherwise this will happen. That's a bit weird too. Like she puts her towel on to just close the door and then takes it off again. Like you would just go and shut the door real quick and not put the towel on and off. But ooh, God, just clench it, boom. Then even though you see like a little bit of blood and you see the body like give way, like. Your mind sees more than what you really did with your eyes. I think that's one of the reasons why that works. Obviously, the towel thing was that she didn't want to show as much of her goods, and at least this is like behind a curtain. But it's just one of those things, like in the reality of the situation, like she puts her towel on to go with that, then takes her towel off. Just if you're in a bathroom, you'd be like, just go off and boom. You know, you see her breasts there a bit. But whatever. It's not the movie. It's just it's late at night when I'm doing this to get time to do this stuff. But yeah, thank you once again, Shawn, as well as anyone out there who sends in requests. Try to do the best I can. Sometimes and I don't have much to say, and sometimes I do. I think that coming up, you get a little cameo from Fangoria magazine, which there is an article in here with Tom Savini, who of course did the effects in the first movie. Which I don't know why they. I think it would have been cool if the death scene would have been on the Tom Savini article. But instead she turns to like a Godzilla article. Like if you look here, like Tom Savini. Well, I think it should have gone from the Godzilla to the Tom Savini, and the blood would be on the Tom Savini stuff. I think that would have been more fun, meta, how you want to put it. Like that's a cool shot. And that's a pretty decent death. Reminiscent of Kevin Bacon in the first movie. But that's the thing, it would have been reminiscent of the death of Kevin Bacon in the first movie, so the blood should have landed on the Tom Savini article, not the Godzilla article. I think one of the commentary tracks mentioned that as well. I could be wrong. But yeah, this commentary was on the old DVD set, and then when these got reissued on DVD, they did not put the commentary on there. So I'm glad this does have the commentary with Richard Brooker's on there, Dana Kimmel, Paul Kratka, Larry Zerner. It's a pretty decent commentary track. All of them in the same room. I think whenever I would watch this, I would watch it with the commentary track. Like throughout the years. I mean, the other features you have Fresh Cuts 3D Terror, talking about shooting in 3D. Legacy of the Mask, kind of determining who came up with the mask. Trailer, TV spot. I definitely recommend Crystal Lake Memories, which someone probably uploaded it on YouTube. But I definitely recommend that for those who want to learn more about these films. Tommy Chon here ain't gonna make it. Which I know that was one of the ideas for Friday the 13th Part 6, I think. Or Part 7. There's an idea where the director of Part 6, Tom McLaughlin, thought, like, why not do, like, Jason versus Cheech and Chong? Just because Abbott Costello meet Frankenstein, they were both Paramount properties, because Paramount was releasing, at least they released Cheech and Chong's Up in Smoke. And I don't know if they did next movie, but I know they did Up in Smoke and maybe some of the others, so obviously that did not work out. And granted, I would watch it for a laugh, but I could see why it wasn't made. It's kind of like for 5 minutes they thought of the idea, later on, like Jay and Silent Bob meets Halloween or Hellraiser, just Dimension Films owned all that. And like for 5 minutes they thought about it. I was like, nah. No. We didn't, they build up thinking that at least they built up this thing like why she doubts he's faking it, he's faked it before. That's a nice reveal of the hockey mask Jason. And he gets electrocuted. Yeah, I would definitely say that the guy walking on his hands and the spear gun are the two best deaths in the movie. And here, this girl's going to find everybody dead. She's the only one left in this house, this cabin. And then this girl's going to get killed by the poker. Poker. I don't know why she's scared of like a empty door. But there you go. I mean, at least this stuff is done practical without CGI enhancements that just ruin the whole thing, like a lot of films nowadays. At least this film's, a respectable 90 minutes, not trying to be 2.5 damn hours. Or trying to fit stupid stuff like certain movies. Or other movies that try to fit stupid stuff like Corey. Yes, I'm talking about two. I'm talking about one film that's 2.5 hours. The other film I'm talking about is Halloween Ends. I'm not talking about the same film. I know Halloween Ends is not 2.5 hours. If it was, I would have blown my head up. But there's another slasher film that's 2.5 hours. I don't think it needs. No slasher film needs to be 2.5 hours long. I'm sorry. And Halloween Ends didn't need to be 2 minutes long. It was crappy after the first 2 minutes. Slasher films suck nowadays. Scream 5, Halloween Ends, Megan, if you want to call that one. I guess that's more of a killer doll movie, but still. Like, some bitch. Some bitch. And I'm not seeing Terrifier 2. I have a friend tell this story. He reviewed Terrifier 2. Michael Keane, the choice voice. Dear friend of mine. He reviewed Terrifier 2. He used 3 still pictures. No video footage, no music, 3 still pictures. And YouTube, I should say, the company that owned Terrifier 2, took the video down and gave him a strike. I'm sitting there going, if that's the case, screw that. I ain't watching and reviewing Terrifier 2. Fuck that shit. Ain't worth my time. Not a fan of the first film. Now watching a 2.5 hour slasher movie. And then if you don't do that to my friend, fuck you. To the makers of that film, or whoever the hell the company, maybe it's obviously the director didn't do it and actors, I know, but to the company, fuck you. Don't need to watch your fucking film. I can live my life without watching Terrifier 2. Now here you did probably the goofiest death in the movie because the effects are not that great. Because the idea is fun, but it's just... It looks a bit better on the Blu-ray, but you can still see like a little bit of... I would say that looks better than the DVD. I'll give you that. It doesn't look as bad. I guess, it's a fun death. Getting your eyeball popped out. It's a fun death. It does look goofy, though. That's right. I still say it's the goofiest looking death. That doesn't mean that, it's still fun to see. It's just, it is goofy looking. But, it's not always a bad thing. I'll take that over some of this crappy CGI stuff. Let's see. I'm trying to remember what this shower bit was. She's the only person left alive. Why did Jason do this? Now think about it. Like, why did Jason say, you know what? I'm gonna turn the water on and I'm gonna put these clothes in there. Like, why did Jason do that? Is he wanting to wash clothes and then do dishes? Like, what is the point of doing that? I get sometimes he wants to hide bodies just for the diddles, but even that's not even hiding a body. It's just, I'm gonna turn the water on and piss you off by turning the water on, just because. Fuck your plumbing bill. I don't make the sky high because I feel like it. Like, I mean, what is the purpose? I don't know. Maybe later on he wants to wash clothes. Yeah, everything be alright here. There's no way a killer could be in this house, in this cabin, in the woods. I don't know why it makes me think of that Don't Go in the Woods movie. Take a trip to the woods. Don't go in the woods tonight, or you will be killed. It chop you up in little pieces. Now, this going through the window kind of reminds me of the first film with a body going through the window. Although I buy Jason do this a lot more than Mrs. Voorhees. It's a good stunt, too. Like, the guy, yeah, throw yourself through the window, and you can't really protect yourself because you're supposed to be a body. I was really like, you didn't have Amy Steele crying like this. Just crying and streaming so damn much. That's why I wish we could have had Amy Steele face up against a hockey mask Jason. That would have been cool. But, you know, it is what it is. It's a great reveal. Like, it's a... Not reveal, because you've seen him earlier, but it's a great shot. Like, this shot here. That's a cool shot. Definitely a shot people remember for Jason. And I think this is what people like about the film, which I get, is the way Richard Brooker plays Jason. Again, he seems like a scarier Jason. Intimidating Jason, the hockey mask stuff. It's just, you know, the story, the plot, there's really nothing to it that's really that different from the first two. The characters, I don't think are as... Other than Larry Zerner, I definitely don't think the lead is as good as the first two. Again, I bet she's fine. You know, the deaths are fine. Some of them are fun. There's a lot, like I said, throughout the commentary, there's a lot of questions that kind of made me like, what? Why is that happening? Why did that happen? Why does Jason give a shit about, you know, washing clothes? Why did he look bald-headed in that flashback when he was supposed to look like, he should look like he did in part 2? But they didn't care. Why does the door look like it's made of cardboard? I mean, I don't know. I'm not saying it was. I'm just saying the way it made it look like it was made of cardboard. But some nice effects here, like the knife going to the hand and this stuff. And this is a cool shot of the throw. Obviously, that was done with a string. Not obviously, but you have a string and you do this and you pull it so it goes like this. And maybe they did in reverse, where they have it in and then you pull it out. And then you reverse it to make it look like it's going in. I don't know if that was a reverse shot or not. Yeah, we have about About 17 minutes left of the film. And then, the last 2 or 3 minutes is the credits. So, yeah, the last 15 minutes. I will say at least she puts up more of a fight than Jensen Dad did in part 8. At least there's that. Like, Jensen Dad doesn't do shit. And Jason tastes bad. And she at least does a bit more. And that film has a lot more problems than this film does. Like I said, there's some good shots. Like when Jason gets his arms caught and he uses his head to smash through the van window. That's a cool shot. And lo and behold, a car that actually works when you start it. It's just that sadly those one assholes took the gasoline, as we saw earlier. But even then, it doesn't like the part of this breaks anyway, so I just... Yeah, it's screwing up here, that's what it is. The gasoline, sputtering, because those assholes took the gas. So at least it's not the typical, it starts and it doesn't work. It does start, but we established those bikers taking the damn stuff. Damn Shelly. Getting screwing up and getting the bikers there to screw up the van. That's definitely a shot people remember as well. Her grabbing her in the van, arms around her neck. That's definitely a shot people remember as well. Afterwards, you gotta have the girl, falling down, tripping. So that Jason could catch up. But yeah, I mean, you have Jason running and, being on the move, being fast, being creepy and intimidating. Now, if I understand, not the barn, but the cabin, at one point got burned down. I don't know if they ever rebuilt it. I know there's talks of rebuilding it. But I guess at one point, like, people were at that cabin, probably to steal memorabilia, like, I don't know, probably to steal some stuff. Hey, we're in the Friday the 13th, one of their cabins. And they're going to, mess around, and then ended up, I guess, accidentally burning the cabin down. I don't remember the details. Stupid people doing stupid things. What can you say? What we do for a Klondike bar, I don't know. Just stupid people doing stupid shit. That's one thing. It would have been nice to see Sean Clark from Horror's Hallowed Grounds do. Like, he did a number of the Halloween films where he visited, like, the locations, how they were then, how they are now. Would have been great to see him do stuff for the Friday the 13th films. Because there's stuff on that box set that were not that good in terms of the shit. Not nearly as good. Not nearly as fucking good. Because Sean Clark knows how to do that and still be entertaining. Unlike Justin Beam or whoever the hell those guys are. I'm not really into people showcasing locations, but Sean Clark knows how to do it and still be entertaining. And I guess she just can't get this thing off. And she's trying. I mean, the show's as good of a weapon as any. Yeah, at least she's trying to fight back, and she's not useless. So, I mean, they give, Danny Kimmel some credit. Landed on him, or hit him with this damn shovel. Although I think I would have just kept smacking him again and again with the shovel. I don't know why she dropped the shit. Well, actually, I think she's going to hang him. That's right. Hang the sumbitch. It was a pretty good shot when that happens. Say, wait a minute, god damn it. Like that shot of him coming down and the camera being looking up, that's a pretty decent shot. Now, yes, there's never an explanation, even at this point, why he can survive all these things, how he can survive, getting his neck broken like this. When he gets the axe to the face, then he survives for part 4. Yeah, it's never explained, it's just, it is how it is. Also, it was always weird that they bring back this one character, Ali. Just like, oh, how convenient, this guy just happens to be not dead, and and they're only long enough to get killed again. I guess they give her time to kill Jason, at least for now. Alright, just kind of a weird choice, I guess. I think that would have been kind of weird and ironic that, that Ali guy survives as well. Like this weird peripheral character. Not weird, but this peripheral character just happens to survive. Definitely would have been surprising. There you get the reveal. Which people definitely remember that. Because he's like smiling. He's like happy and smiling and almost like giddy. Now she's like, eh. Yeah, immediately just gets his arm cut off. And it's like, doesn't even get to fight him. Doesn't get to, do anything to him. I mean, I don't even know what Ali was planning to do. I guess he had something with his hand. I don't remember what he had in his hand, but they just didn't get to do anything. I'm sure this is done for maybe a bit for the 3D as well. The arms reaching out. And he's there for until the 4th one. The final chapter, which wasn't final. Because there's like 8 more or something. Yeah, about 8 more or something. I mean, almost one a year for 10 years. I mean, 8 out of 10 years of the 80s had a Friday the 13th film. I mean, that's why Friday the 13th is very synonymous with the 80s. At the start of the decade, 1980. At the end of the decade, 89. Yeah, 8 out of 10. I think 83, there wasn't one. And then I think 87, there wasn't one. This is another bit. I don't care for this scene. Because, again, what sense... They only did this because the first 2 had these surprise dream nightmare scenes that... This makes no fucking sense. Why does this girl imagine Mrs. Voorhees? This girl doesn't know jack shit about Mrs. Voorhees. And I guess you just say she imagines Mrs. Voorhees not decapitated because She doesn't know Mrs. Voorhees was decapitated, but my question is, how did she know Mrs. Voorhees in the first place? They have a fucking nightmare about her. It's like, well, we had the kid nightmare pull her down, so let's have Mrs. Voorhees pull her down for some fucking reason. Now, I know there was another sequence where she would go up, open the door, there's Jason, cut her head off, and then she would wake up. As a nightmare, that would make more sense. She thinks everything's fine, there's Jason, cuts her head off, she wakes up, maybe she grabs her throat. That would make more sense as a nightmare scene. And would work so much better. Here, I don't know what the fuck the reason was for this. I really don't. Okay, I get she has the nightmare of thinking he's still alive. And that's a pretty decent look. That's definitely a nice scary look for Jason. But again, it's like that could have been it there, but this shit. Like, why does she imagine Mrs. Voorhees? Why? She doesn't know who the fuck she is. Let alone her sweater or anything. Like, why does she imagine this? It makes no fucking sense whatsoever. It's stupid. I did it's there for a jump, but it makes no fucking sense. It's fucking stupid. There's no. How does she know there's a Mrs. Voorhees? A lady in the lake. She thought she was getting Excalibur the sword. Maybe that's why. I mean, what, we're meant to believe that she's alive as well and got her head back? A lady in the lake. Yeah. Go find the Excalibur sword. I just were meant to believe that that this girl's going to go in the psychiatric ward. Just how hysterical she is. And laughing. And they didn't really follow a character until you get to part 4. Tommy, and then you follow him in part 5, then in part 6. No cops. Where are the cops? Why there would be no cops around this, maniac's dead body, I don't know. But whatever. I just trying to make the audience wonder, is he going to move? Is he going to be alive? Is he going to get back up? But at least they... Again, I don't know what the deal is with the whole water thing. Are we meant to believe that baby Mrs. Voorhees is alive and will be back from the grave with her head intact? I don't know. But at least, if they didn't do any more, you say Jason's dead and they didn't, you'd always figure out next time. You'd always figure out the next one how to bring Jason back. In this case, he just happens to not be dead. He just with an axe in the head. Oh well. Ain't nothing. Ain't nothing but a thing. Chicken wing. You ain't shit. John Fury, Steve Dash. Got his credit there as he deserves. Yeah, that disco funky theme of Friday the 13th, which I thought, again, was a nice addition to this. But overall, I do enjoy the film. It's not a favorite of mine in the franchise. It does have some good kills. It has that 80s charm. It's fast enough of a pace. Dana Kimmel is fine, but not my favorite. Larry Zerner as Shelley is likable enough. The other characters have their bit of their personality, so they're not bland, or as bland as I've seen other people. Richard Berter did a great job as Jason, making a creepy, scary type of Jason. The Hockey Mask was a wonderful addition. Harry Manfredini, once again, did a wonderful job with the music. Steve Meyer's direction, it's there. I might say maybe part 2 is a little bit more better directed. Maybe by part 3 is like, I'm doing this again? Okay. And maybe because he had to have more time with the 3D to make that work. You know, the 3D gimmick, because I can't really enjoy the 3D, it didn't do much for me. I mean, it's kind of a goofy charm to it, but yeah. It's a decent one. You know, I liked it. I don't love it, but I liked it. Fox. Gloria Charles, yeah, Fox. That was the biker lady. I don't know why I said chili. I don't see anything with chili, but Larry Zerner gets the last bit. Shelly, Z Zerner, and there you go. With that said, thanks for watching. Take care. Thanks once again, Sean, and we'll see you guys later.